Hello and welcome to this week's episode of My CP Does Not Define Me, where we focus less on the this and more on the ability of what we can do. Join us each and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live on the Facebook Live. Looking forward to seeing you there.
What's up, everybody? It's D to the J with the roll away, and it is time once again to relaunch one of the hottest talk shows this side of the multiverse, the internet, the known world. My CP Does Not Define Me is back on the air. Yes, it's been a long time, and yes, I've told everybody that we're relaunching today. And while I do this, I'm going to switch my phone to silent because I think I forgot to earlier. I do apologize, but I make mistakes too. There we go. Well, let me go over just a couple things. Let me say how happy I am to have everybody with me and to say how wonderful, wonderful, wonderful it is to be here and to have this launch. It has taken a long time and it has been long overdue, but I had to kind of revamp myself, re educate what I wanted to do for the show, and redesign the whole idea of My CP Does Not Define Me. Now, I'm going to hopefully have a guest today, but I haven't been a chance to, I hadn't had a chance to uh, get a hold of her to confirm. I did talk to her yesterday, so we're going to give her a few minutes and see if she pops in. She's never let me down before, and we'll see. Hopefully, it won't happen today. But what I want to re-bring in and what I want to talk about today is what I want to go over today is we in the United States of America, whether we are disabled, whether we are blind, whether we have one foot, no arms, no legs, no matter what we are a people. Thank you, Cindy. Nice to be back. Great to be here. I want to say this as bluntly as I can. One of the things that I'm going to do on this show with this relaunch is I'm going to keep it clean, but I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff for people. Okay? I am not going to I'm going to be caring, but I'm not going to go over the line with I can't. Because when an issue needs to be addressed, when an issue needs to be hit, when an issue needs to be knocked out of the park, that's what I'm going to do. Now, the problem with labeling is we as a society have let this slide for far too long. And this is a society problem, and it has been here since people have inhabited the earth. And until we come together as a people to sit there and say, you know, I've had enough of this. Hey Thomas, how are you? And until we're able to say, I've had enough of this, the labeling is going to continue. Now, the problem with labeling is great for a cabinet. You've got your spice rack, right? You've got everything all neat in the little bottles, okay? But you look in the little bottles and you go, what the hell is all this crap? Okay, I get that. All right, you've got your cinnamon, you've got your cayenne pepper, you've got your margarine, you've got all of these different spices, you've got Old Bay. Well, Old Bay looks like seasoned salt, so you might get confused with the two reds. You've got season all, you've got complete seasoning. So you go through and you label your spices, all right? Now, when you're running chords together for a new sound system and you're piping that new sound system through your badass TV screen that you got with 19 USB hookup connections in the back of it, you're going to go through and you're going to label some chords. PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, switch, Nintendo N64. That's what I got over there. This goes to this HDMI. This goes to this HDMI. The hip bone's connected to the shoulder bone. The shoulder bone's connected to the head bone. You got your chin on right. You got all, okay, your labels. You got your labels. All right. You've got your little bathroom labels with your toothpaste and your my cup and my toothbrush and the red one and the blue one. Some places labels are okay. But in the human race, when talking about people, when acknowledging people, Kim, could you do me a favor? Could you grab your phone and go on Facebook, just keep it muted, and reply to our comments so that our viewers are getting engaged? I'd appreciate it if you'd do that for me. So just make sure it's muted. So you want to go to my profile and just do that. And but turn your phone on silent though. But labeling in some places it's going to happen. But as a people, it's got to stop, because what I don't want to see is, do you remember that guy with the one eye and the one leg who hobbled around with the cane, the really fat guy? That's got to stop. That, as an individual, it has to. We've got to know that's Joe. Okay, Joe is going to be Joe. Kim is going to be Kim. DJ is going to be DJ. I don't want to be referred to as DJ. Oh, the guy in the chair. Look, I know I'm in a wheelchair. I've had CP for 43 years. I understand that. That doesn't bother me. But labeling me and knowing me as the guy in the chair, that's the problem. We have got to get past our points and be able to say, look, I don't want to put some specific label, the white guy, the black guy, the purple guy, Barney looking, whatever. I don't want to do all that. You should be able to click on the comments and reply to them. I want to make sure.
Yeah, if I was on my laptop.
You can reply to the comments though. See the replies there?
Mm-hmm.
You want to hit replies to each of those and say hello. We're engaging our audience. Sorry about that. I was just doing a little one-on-one there. I really want to come across to this as a new platform. You know, so many people across the world want to be accepted for who they are. So many people want to be noticed for who they are. I told you she'd be here. I knew she would. She'd never let me down before.
You know, I'm not going to do that. I would never do that. My word is my word.
But I got to tell you, and she popped in at the perfect time because, again, Miss Winnie's constantly teaching. We were talking the other day about, I'm a content creator now on Facebook, and I'm trying to engage in my comments and all of that, and making sure everything's running smoothly. Some places have labels. Like we were talking about the spice rack earlier. You got all your spices put together, and some of the cinnamon looks like cayenne pepper, so you don't want to confuse it. So you put your label up there, so you make sure you got the right one. That's okay. You got 14 different USBs hooked up in your back of your TV, and you want to know which USB goes to what system? Labels are okay right there. I get that. But when you start labeling people, and this has become a societal problem since day one, since people have been here. You remember, I can't remember his name, the big guy with the one leg. No, his name is Joe. Don't do that. Use his name. Not the white guy, not the fat guy, not the guy with the high cholesterol. I don't care what he's got. Use his name. We have to start coming together as a society and a people to say, look, this is what I'm going to do. This is how it's going to be done. We're going to stop labeling people, because when we stop labeling people, you get away from DJ. I don't remember DJ, the guy in the wheelchair. No, that is not what I am. Yes, I have cerebral palsy. Yes, I've been in a chair for 43 years, But that chair is part of me, and I understand that. But I literally don't want to have that chair only to associate who I am. And I think if we can realize not only in the disabled community, but in the world today, so many people, when they can't remember somebody, they'll say, for example, the lady that used to carry that big red purse around, and she used to have everything in there, and she'd sit down at church and start pulling stuff out, and you'd see everything in there, her lipstick and the kitchen sink. Stop labeling. Do you think, Miss Winnie, do you think it's easier for them to label? Do you think it's easier for people to label?
It is easier because what they don't know, they don't know. But instead of speaking to the person first, they want to speak to the disability first, which is very dehumanizing and disrespectful to the person that has a disability. You know, but that's the problem now. People always look at the disability versus the person. So yeah, that's what some of them, if they're not educated on it, then that's what they're going to do. Unfortunately.
So my first question to you, as looking as lovely as you do, and being the person that you are, you deal with disability every day.
Right.
You deal with controversy every day. And I'm pretty sure you deal with labeling every day. How do we as a society or as a people stop it?
Unfortunately, it's not going to stop. It isn't. A lot of society is not educated on it. If they don't know somebody in that world, or they're not in a situation where they're connected to people where they can learn these things, they're not going to do it. They're not going to learn it because first thing they're going to do is look at the disability. It's not going to happen. It really isn't. Only those that understand will be those people that will look at the person first.
One of the questions or statements that we have from Thomas Prince, profiling is wrong. I think labeling and profiling can go along with the same sense, but it's a little bit different. But I do see where you're getting at. I think if people can slow down a little bit, because everything is so fast nowadays. You pass somebody in conversation and see. Here's my thing, Miss Winnie is one of probably the best teachers I've ever known in my life, not just in life experience, but in a person's ability that they don't see. She sees in there, and you're like, huh? Everybody is so quick in this world right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got to go from point A to point B. Can't speak to nobody. Got our head down, and we don't even say hi in passing. Sometimes that's all you got to do to bridge the gap. Communicating to a person's, hey, how you doing? Have a nice day. Yeah. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It is so easy on the holidays for somebody to communicate because all they got to say is Merry Christmas.
Right.
Happy New Year. Happy Thanksgiving. When Turkey Day comes around, Happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble. Enjoy the turkey. Bam. There you go. It's open. But if we can open our hearts and our mouths at the same time, when you talk to somebody, don't just walk past them. Look at them. Stop for a second. When you say hi, smile. That smile can change a person's day from the worst day they ever had to the best day they ever had. And it takes 1 second to stop and just let it beam a minute. Put some sunshine on your face. Richard Pryor, they put some sunshine on your face. That's all you've got to do. And I think that in itself, when we start communicating with people, disabled or not. I'm not just talking about the disabled community. As bad as we get it, the non-disabled community gets it too. I mean, if you got a guy that wears the same jacket every day, that you know, Rusty, the guy that wears the Los Angeles Raiders jacket every day, it comes so natural to associate something with somebody. And I think I want our communication and our conversations to be fruitful, to where you don't have to be scared to ask a question. Because if you don't ask a question, you're not going to know an answer. And that
is true.
I think we got to get past the fear of what we don't know.
Right. And I think that's what it is too. A lot of people are afraid to ask a question too, because they just don't know how the person may react. Now, you do have to understand sometimes that some people with disabilities don't want people to help them. Right. So you can't have it both ways. You can't have it where you need help, but then like if you're in a store, you need help, but then when somebody go to help you, you refuse to help. So you can't have it both ways.
See,
you know what I'm saying?
That's a big point. That's a big point. If I'm struggling, I got a big enough mouth to say, excuse me, can you put that up there on the conveyor belt? But if a bro got it right here and I just about got it on it, don't take it. That's my moment. Let me have my little struggle with my ham that I'm about to cook, because I'm gonna have that ham when I get home. Okay. See what y'all see in the store, bro, trying to get it up on the conveyor, but we'll go to Food Line in a minute. I'm just saying, sometimes there's adversity in everything every day. But
it is. And sometimes you just need to learn to just say thank you, because it may be that one time that you need help. And guess what? Nobody's going to be there. And then you'll be frustrated.
That's true.
So sometimes it's okay just to say thank you. That's it. Just say thank you.
Thank you for asking, but I got it.
Exactly. That's it. And don't get mad, because some people get offended. I think a lot of people, I've seen it before. Like I've seen it, and I was thinking to myself, why would they get offended when someone was just asking them if they needed assistance? And they really got offended, which they really did need the assistance.
Well,
so you can't have this particular disability. You can't reach certain things. But then you need help, but you don't want nobody to help you, or you get an attitude. So again, you can't have it both ways. You can't want assistance and you can't refuse assistance, or you can't get an attitude, because again, it might be that day when you need assistance and nobody around. Nobody's going to ask you if you need help. Then you're going to be frustrated.
There's a two-parter there that Miss Winnie just came across, and I'm gonna see if I can't bunt one to first base and bunt one over to second. Number one, say thank you, and don't look. This is what I'm talking about. Thank you. No, that ain't. Thank you for asking. I really appreciate it, but I haven't. I would like to do it on my own.
Right.
When a person with a disability is trying to do something, okay.
Yeah.
They want the satisfaction of being able to complete that task. That's part of their independence, and that's kind of stepping on the toes a little bit. They're gonna be thinking, "Don't step on my toes, y'all. I ain't playing."
Right.
But when you cross that line, if you do it without asking, you're taking. You may not realize this, but to them and to some of them, I can't say to everybody, you're taking away their independent moment. Okay.
Right.
The world is full of independent moments, but how many do we actually get? Now, the other part about it, I didn't used to have a chair that raises up.
Right.
Sometimes, and you can ask Kim this one, I say, damn, I forgot my chair raised. I could have got that myself.
Because you're not accustomed to it. Yeah.
Right. It dawns on me.
Right. After the fact.
but I'm so used to asking for help
Yeah.
because I can't get up to the top of the shelf. Sorry, babe. I can't get up to the top of the shelf. She gonna end up with a black and blue on the chin. I'm just
Lord, you forget to utilize what you have. And
and,
sometimes, even if you have that, sometimes
mm,
it may not always work. Like I'm
oh,
short, okay? So it's a lot of times I'm looking up like, God dang, when somebody walk through that's taller than me, and I'm looking up like, and I steady doing like this, like, and then I'm looking around to see if I can find something long enough where I can pull what I want. So when someone do come around, I'll be like, hey, thank you so much.
it
So you got to
pays
be careful
off.
in those things and appreciate it when someone help you.
Mhm.
This is what this is the other thing that she just said. Sometimes you need to be grateful for what God gives you. Okay,
Right,
my
right,
chair may not be working at the time. These chairs
right.
break down like paper clips. Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all, $30,000 still break down. Just
Right.
of its own. If it and what I like now, we have to speak up. Listen, guys, this is important. We have to speak up for ourselves in the best way that we can. Do not be afraid to ask somebody for help if you need it, because the worst they can say is no, and then you
Right.
sneeze past them and run over the back of the hill. I'm not saying do that.
You know what?
I can, look, somebody else will be along shortly. This too shall pass.
Yeah.
I have. Sometimes you have to have patience in the grocery store, and remember, there are other people that might have had just a bad day as you. You don't know what they're going through. You
Right.
can't now,
Right.
and this is where I want to get back to labeling for 1 second. Everybody can see the outside,
Right.
but nobody
Can see the
can
inside.
see the inside. One of my martial arts teachers said, I'm disabled, but people don't know it because they look at me and they see me walk across the street and they think, oh, he's got it easy.
Mm.
He's a diabetic. He's been through cancer. He's been through chemo. He's been through this, that, and the other, and he's still fighting.
Mr. Whitaker.
Everybody has, Mr. Whitaker, everybody has their own personal battles that they face. And
Mm.
as we get through life, you can see the outside, and the outside may look all shiny and dolled up, and the earrings and the makeup and everything may be perfect, and the red shirt, all of it may be ironed just so. But on the inside, the person is a wreck because they're dealing with something that they don't want to talk about. But
Right. Right.
sometimes when you pass, if you just say, hope you have a good day, nice to talk to you, just something positive. I can
Mm.
say this on this show, and I have said it 150 times, and I'll say it 151. Edwina Wilson is the most positively spoken woman I've ever met in my life, not to allow negativity in her life. I have learned, I said before, she's a teacher. I've learned so much in the fact of you have to be really careful with your words, your thoughts, and your actions. Because when
Right.
you allow something negative in there, it'll start with a crack in the door and then it'll turn around and ruin your whole day.
My whole leg is numb.
I
Right.
literally have watched her tell me, and I go, oh, she right. I done started. See, it's all in how you appear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've asked her, Miss Winnie, how do you do it? And literally, but the person that you are, and your relationship with whoever you believe in has a lot to do with it, and that's the main focus right there. But in all seriousness, when you carry yourself as a happy and good person, and there can be an instance with a blouse in a store, you want to take it back?
Right. Yeah.
And you handle yourself the best way you can, but sometimes management got to get involved. I'm sorry, but I don't mean to laugh, but I very rarely see Miss Winnie get frazzled. And that was the one time. Give me my blouse.
First of all, she's not a manager. So sometimes we gotta sit back and weigh a situation, right? And you gotta know when to speak and when not to speak. So I had purchased a shirt from a store, right? And I didn't have the receipt when I took it back the first time. So, but the tag and everything's still on there. So I didn't have the receipt the first time I took it back. So, well, I had a receipt, but it was the wrong receipt, right? I had a receipt, but it was the wrong receipt. So the young girl tempted to say that I stole the shirt.
Wow.
She said, I stole this shirt. Mind you, I don't steal nothing. Like, I'm too afraid to go get locked up, okay? So I ain't stealing nothing. And I don't have to steal anything, So she tempted she pulled it up. She said it's not listed or anything like that. And I'm sitting there like, ma'am, yes, it is. So what happened was I had two shirts of the same thing. I got a refund on one shirt. So the other shirt I had, and that's the one she kept saying that I didn't have, that shirt was stolen. So this chick takes the shirt and attempts to put it in the bag. And I'm like, what are you doing with the shirt? She said, I'm not giving you this shirt because you stole the shirt. I said, girl, if you don't give me my shirt, you gonna give me my shirt, okay? So she looked at me, she said, I'm not giving you. I said, you gonna give me my shirt. So she gets the manager and explains the manager what happened. And the manager looked at her and said, give her her shirt. Give her her shirt. First of all, you had no control. And that's not your job to keep anything that you don't even know the whole situation about. I said I have a receipt. I got the receipt.
Mm-hmm.
I had two shirts, the same shirts, one different size. One size didn't fit, the other size did fit. One was for my granddaughter. So anyway, long story short, I ended up going home. I had that shirt in my thoughts, right? I ended up going home, and I literally, the receipt was right there in my face the whole time. I go back up there with the receipt and the shirt. The young lady wasn't there, unfortunately, because I wanted her to be there. But the manager was there. And I literally made a complaint about that. The manager was so red. She was like so embarrassed. She was so embarrassed that this situation happened. And she looked at me like, I remember you. Like, yeah, I just left.
Okay. You said two very important things. You can't accuse somebody of stealing something, and shoplifting happens all the time.
Right.
But
right.
You're a customer, and the golden rule, and I know people are going, oh, this ain't true. The customer is always right. Because the reason I say that is because one bad review can take your store or your business and turn it upside down.
It sure can.
No matter what. Now, Miss Winnie could have gotten angry, and she did get a little upset, but
I didn't get loud. I didn't get loud at all because I chose not to make a scene in the store. But she was going to give me my shirt back because I paid for that shirt. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. She was going to give me my shirt. First of all, who are you to take my shirt anyway? Mm-hmm. Or anybody else's? Who are you to do that? You ain't a manager or nothing. That's why people get hurt today because they do stuff they ain't got no business doing.
That's it right there. You overstepped.
You don't know what kind of mood I was in. You don't know what I was going through. And you want to mess with somebody you don't even know? Girl, please.
Miss Winnie would have pulled out the kitchen sink. Look, I was raised, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. But there's a line you don't cross.
Exactly.
Don't call me no thief.
Right.
I'll tell you a story. I was in Food Line, this very Food Line right down here.
No crab legs.
And I went down to get crab legs, and I'm looking, right. When is it? They got crab legs over there. Go get some crab legs and see if they got them. They were out. Okay, they had the imitation mess, right? Imitation mess. I pick up the bag. The bag is leaking. Okay, so I set the bag down. Unbeknownst to me, a bag of shrimp falls right here in the crack of my chair. I ain't see it. I ain't feel it. I go to get groceries and I go to pay for my stuff. And every cashier in there knows me because I spend most of my paycheck up in Food Line. I'm going to let y'all know. Okay, I'm a Food Line shopping.
They got good food there.
I got my MVP rewards up to $26 a month. Okay. The lady looks at me from the back of the line, 3 people back. He's stealing shrimp. I turn and I look down at my side. I said, ma'am, do you notice what is beside this shrimp? It's an open crab leg. It's a dangling artificial meat crab leg from a bag that ripped open and fell in my chair. Now, I will say this is the one thing I'm going to praise Food Line for, because Food Line ain't got much praise in my stories lately.
Mm-mm.
But one of our best friends is a cashier. And she came from her post.
Mm-hmm.
She came from her post and said, don't you ever accuse this young man of stealing ever, because he would never do such a thing. She got paper towels, she got Windex or whatever sanitizer they had and sprayed a little too much and tried to clean my chair. And I just sat there. Now, as this lady was walking out of the store, the customer behind her, I'm not saying no names because I did not know who the customer was, looked at me, smiled, and took her cart full of groceries and said, "Pop!" And she stumbled. She said, "Didn't you see me walking in front of you?" She said, "Must have been that shrimp that boy stole. I must have ran over and I ain't mean to." And I just sat there for a minute and laughed. Because sometimes you can't do nothing but laugh in a situation like that. But two things. When you tell somebody they're a thief, it goes against their character. Okay?
Yes.
Say hi to Louie, please. I make sure that y'all look.
Hey, Louie.
I want to let y'all know, y'all coming up here, y'all better buckle up because we about to get with it. I really want to say one thing. I can understand how upset it made me in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I have the opportunity to steal anytime I want. I'm not gonna, because my mom ain't raised no thief. I don't need. I got plenty of money to buy what I need to buy, even though prices going up.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna get what I need to get. What I like is Miss Winnie said this. You gonna give me what I paid for. You gonna give me what I paid for. I'm sorry. You can get as mad as you want. You can call me what you want. But for a manager, see, that manager had to deal with that and know that that employee was wrong the entire time. I guarantee you that employee ain't there no more. I guarantee it. Because that's a reflection. That's a reflection on their business. But
I go to corporate office.
Now, on top of that, something like that sticks with a person and it's labeled, oh, they're a thief. Don't come back in the store. See, you look at it behind it, and everything behind labels, you got to be careful because it carries with people. What you say and what you do, it follows people around. It's kind of like your work record, you know. It'll follow a person around for a long time. You know, you go into a lady's house and it's not as clean as you've seen, or you know, there's a pile of a little bit of dirty laundry on the side of the closet. That don't mean she's a bad housekeeper. It means she's had a rough day and ain't had time to get through it. Don't go outside. Oh, the house was dirty. There were roaches everywhere. Why? I learned exaggeration can destroy a person. Hey, Louis.
Right.
I look at my ability to see through the smoke screen of people that are not pure. There are thousands of people every day, and this is sad, walking around begging for money that don't need it, wearing $300 shoes, and you know, can you put some cheese on this cracker? Yes. I went over to a young man that had a sign up. Now, not to mention he was wearing Jordans and a leather jacket. Okay, and I saw him walk home because we followed him. And he's got about a $300,000 home. Okay, this man is panhandling, which is illegal. And I walked over to him. I said, yo, bro, I know who you are, and I know what you're doing, and other people see it too. So he gonna take the sign and do the sign like this inside his shirt, little sign, and start walking away, right? Well, he get to the corner, and the popo sitting at the corner. He ain't on the corner no more.
Correct, Kayla.
And that's my point. I learned from Miss Winnie very early. The character of a person is not always in what they say, it's what they do. And you've got to watch that. Andrew, big man, welcome to the show. Thank you for showing up. I literally look at the character of an individual. You can tell me all the stories you want to, but eventually the truth is going to come out somewhere along the way. And I think if we start being truthful to people, look past the chair that you see, the communication that you see, the cane that you see the person walk. Ask them how their day was. You may learn something.
Say hello. Say how you doing.
That's all.
Just as simple as that.
True.
You know, I looked at.
But one thing, people need to learn one thing. You don't want to approach people with or say something to somebody disabled person. You could say the most proper way to say it would be the person with a disability if you don't know what they have. But to say that disabled person, that's more disrespectful than anything, you know. But so people have to learn how to use words when it comes to those people, the individuals with disabilities, right? So we talk about the person first versus the disability first.
True.
And I think it's going to be the hardest thing to really get society to see that person first, not the disability. And disability second. Even when you go in a restaurant, stop overlooking the person that has a disability and go to the person they with. I put a stop to that. I just put a stop to that. Ask her first. So you ask the person first. And if you can't get the response, then you ask the assistant or the person that's with them. That's another thing that needs to be taught, you know?
Because we're looking at it. The last time I checked, everybody in the world carries baggage. But the size of that baggage and what's in that bag is unknown to anybody else. You just mentioned a great point. Segued it perfectly. I ain't had to say nothing. Going into a restaurant, what do he have? Excuse me? Oh, I didn't know you could talk. You about to find out. Because I'm going to order everything on the menu. I'm just saying, you know, don't assume. that I know. Don't assume that a person can't talk because they're in a chair. Don't assume that you know their disability when you walk up to the table because you've seen it before.
Because once again, they're looking at the disability. They see a wheelchair or crutch or cane or walker. And the first thing they thinking, they don't know what to do. You don't know that instead of asking. It needs to be asked first. And then if you can't get a response, then you ask them first.
I think we can get around. See, once we start doing that, and that's what I love about education. There's so many uneducated people. And I'm not saying that to be...
Hello, Brian.
I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. But when you think you know something with a little bit of knowledge that is wrong, and you present that knowledge to somebody that knows what they're talking about, you're gonna stifle yourself before you ever start in the conversation.
Yeah.
If we treat people with disabilities as people and not disabilities,
right,
the world will be a lot better because they know they have a disability. You don't have to tell them.
Right.
Them. They came to the restaurant with that disability. They're going to get chicken carbonara regardless of that disability or not.
Right.
I will tell you now. We went to. I love going to Olive Garden with Miss Winnie because that's one of her favorite places to go. And it was a couple of us. It was Mr. Wilson, myself, and a few others. And Kelly was there, and you know we were holding a conversation, and the conversation was good enough because everybody was quiet because they were eating, but you could tell that they were enjoying themselves. And what I like about the waiter that came up or the waitress that came up, I can't remember whether it was a guy or a girl at this time because I was stuffing my face full of chicken Alfredo. And they stopped at the table and they looked around and then they said, "How's everyone doing? Is everything satisfactory?" And everybody replied, because they have food in their mouth and we would just get down on it. But see, here's the thing. You can learn from a situation as small as how is everyone doing today and look at everyone, or you can say, how's everyone doing today and look at one person and make everyone else feel alienated because you didn't include them in what you were doing and you didn't even realize you did it. There's a comment here that I want to put up. And it says, Kayla actually wrote this. A lady the other day overwhelmed me communicating about the preferred time of my next appointment and commented on the way out. She knows what she wants. You know, or overheard me. Kayla, I will tell you, will let you know exactly what she wants. And we in the disability community need to fight for ourselves and be our own advocate because there are very few that are going to do it for us.
Yeah.
And we have to learn to be as independent as possible in our own battles, but you got to pick your battles too, because
Right.
you can't spend your whole life battling, because you're going to get worn down, you're going to get upset, and things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that every person that has a disability that experienced that experienced that moment of being in a restaurant and or store, anywhere in the public where they're overlooked, I feel like at this point, and it should have been going on, because some people will speak up and some won't speak up. But I think everybody, if you're capable and able to, that would be a moment to speak up in a nice way, because evidently they don't know. So that's where it started first. Because if they come to you with looking over you to the other person, at that moment is a moment where you can say, excuse me, I can speak for myself. Or excuse me, I can let you know what I want. Or excuse me, or just say what you want. But
there's nothing wrong with that, because you did it in a nice way. And it's hard sometimes because we get so fixated on the fact that we were overlooked, because it's
right.
And all
that's
those other
understandable.
come up when you are. Got to remember, each situation is its own situation. Let a person know, but don't blast them. They may not know. They may not understand. They may not even realize that they did it. We went to an event.
Exactly.
To an event in I believe it was in I believe it was at the Hub, and there was one lady one mom that said, don't misinterpret staring, because I used to get bothered when people would stare at my daughter, until one day a lady told me that, I was staring at your daughter because she was so beautiful. And they thought at first it was against them. They're trying to comprehend what they're seeing. They're trying to register in their mind what they want to say. They may not know how, and they may be looking just as hard. And it's like, well, they're staring at me. That's okay. Be beautiful in that light for just that few minutes. It's going to be all right. And I love that, because it brought a new meaning to. I hated to be stared at, but now I'm like, you want to look a little longer? Go ahead. Here, let me get my camera out. Take a selfie. There you go.
I've never cared about the staring part. I don't care. Evidently, they don't know, and some of the adults are just as worse as the children.
Yes. Yes.
And when it comes to children, do not get mad at your kids for asking a question about a disability or what they see, because I'm going to answer in a way. I'm going to come to their level to try to answer the question on their level, so that they understand, and they can go on about their day knowing that they talked to somebody who may have had a different way of doing things, but explain to them exactly what they want,
Like that little kid asked you, do you transform like the Transformers in the movie?
He was being honest. He had never seen a chair before, because my chair was halfway up in the air and I'm getting something off the shelf.
Oh, how it raised up.
And he, look, are you Optimus Prime? Do you transform like the form? And I went, transform and roll out. And he goes,
what?
And it was the coolest little thing, because I made that kid's day for the first 5 sound. I don't know. And it's just, some of it is just pure honesty.
Right.
I literally, I don't have to be something I'm not.
Yeah.
And I literally will sit there, and I've seen people, if you want to know something, ask. There's not a question that I can't ask. And if I can't talk about it at that time, I'll give you my email and email you later. Just
yeah.
we've got to get over this fear of talking to each other.
Right.
Because I'm no different than you, and you're no different than me. We just everyone has their own way of doing things, and we get so fixated when we see something that looks different or is different to us. We get confused that just because it's different, it doesn't mean that this right here doesn't exist.
Right.
Miss Winnie, we got about 10 minutes. You want to close us out with anything special?
I don't know, it's so funny. Talk about staring. Just recently, me and Kelly was out somewhere, and this little girl, she had to be no older than 10 years old, and she just stared at Kelly the whole time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said, poor baby, she don't even understand. And I said, Kelly, I said, tell that little girl hi. So Kelly said, wait. I said, straight ahead, just say hi. So Kelly said, hi. And the girl turned her head, right? She turned her head. And the mother heard it. She said, oh, I'll forget her name. Just say Samantha. Samantha, she said hi to you. And Samantha just looked like she was surprised that she said something to her, right? She was just surprised. But you know what? I made that comment. I said that to say that sometimes we just really have to say something. And it's okay. Because if they don't know, they just don't know. If they don't know person before disability, shame on them. But sometimes it is up to us to really educate them. And then the next person they'll understand is person first, not disability.
I think that's the message right there for 2025. Person first, not the disability. Yeah, because if you can get past what you see, and get to where you want to be, I think that's the way to look at it. I like that. But the fact that you said something, see, some of the parents teach their kids that you can't talk to a disabled person. You can't play with a disabled person because you're going to catch what they have. You can't catch it.
It's not a disease.
It's not a disease.
It's not a disease.
It's not transferable. You can't buy it. You can't pick it up off the shelf somewhere. Doctor can't give it to you in a little needle. No. It's a birth defect. It happens during, before, or after birth.
We have a world on the Oculus teaching that.
Yep, we just created a world in virtual reality going through. There's so many avenues now for teaching and education.
Yeah.
If we educate people the right way, and that's the key. Don't go in there like you know everything, because I sure as heck don't. I don't. But I'm willing to learn what I don't know about.
Right.
Like who?
Ask everybody to give you one word or to write a sentence that's following you right now, how they feel about not being person first. And you may not be able to get them today, but you could always go back through it. And then next week, make it a follow-up.
That's a good one.
Get opinions from people. Everybody's opinions is different, but it's good to hear everybody's opinion on how they feel about this, what approach they would use, or what approach they do use. How would they interact if they're in a restaurant and someone overlooked them? What would your reaction would be? Would you say something? Would you let them know? And if not, why not? Do you feel like that's a perfect time for you to speak up for yourself? Because not only will you be speaking up for yourself, but you'll be speaking up for the next person. So this is where it starts. So we got to help each other along the way, even though that person may not be here, right? But that one waitress that you just educated, the next time they see someone come in there, guess what? They're not going to look at the disability. They're going to look at the person.
Right.
So if that starts, with one person, then that one waiter, she'll know now. So how would you approach that? Everybody that's in here looking, and put a poll on your page. Do a poll and put it on your page to get people's opinions and make it a follow-up for next week. That's what I have to say. You got 4 minutes because I don't want to use my time saying anything on your show.
That's why I love Miss Wilson. She always thinking just that nugget of information to it all starts with one person. Yeah. Archimedes said this: find me a lever long enough and I'll move the world. Mm-hmm. Okay. But in order to change the world, change has to start somewhere.
Yep.
So today, I'm going to create the poll tonight, and I'm going to put the poll on my page, and I'm going to and I don't even have I'm going to make it disability related, but it doesn't have to be, because if you think about it, how does a person without a disability feel when they're overlooked?
Leave it on disability.
No, I'm going to
leave it on disability first. Okay.
I'm just saying, I think that once we start, just like that one role, the one person, once we start rolling with it, the ball becomes easier to carry and it makes it easier to move.
Right.
I want to thank Miss Winnie for joining me on our relaunch today. Our viewership has been off the chain the entire time. Mm-hmm. I've got some fantastic guests coming up. If you want to be a guest on the show, please hit me up. Email carterdj85@gmail.com. Please include your name and a short 5-sentence paragraph or two about what you want to talk about or what you would like to share. I will conduct an interview with you by phone. I'm looking at a lot of people. I've already got a lot of people wanting to come back. I'm trying to get the new ones on here first. I ain't forgot about nobody. We have a great guest coming next week. She has an exciting story, and I'm excited about having her. Miss Winnie, you are an inspiration as always. You are a great advocate in the community. And I literally, everything that you have done for the community, for cerebral palsy awareness, and for education in general about disabilities, and not only teaching people, but showing them so kindly and so lovingly to say, hey, try it this way, or go try about this. Have you thought about this? And your ability to see fire in people or spark in people is so unique. I wish there were 100 more like you, because I'd have 100 more moms. But I got one. I'm glad. I'm just saying. But thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
the kind words. I definitely appreciate it. I try to do my best.
Thank everybody for being on the show. We'll see you next week for our next exciting episode of My CP Does Not Define Me. Goodbye, everybody.
Peace. See y'all.
All right, everybody. That's going to do it for this week's episode of My CP Does Not Define Me. As always, you can catch us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live on the Disability Global Podcast, Facebook Live, and on www.letgoradio.net. Also, if you haven't already checked out our YouTube channel, My CP Does Not Define Me, where we post all of our show's episodes in our My CP playlist. As always, I'm your host, D to the J with the roll away. If you can't be good, be bad, but be good at it. We'll see you next week.